That's what I mean. So maybe you unmute him.
Yeah.
So you can also speak something.
Hello, everybody.
All right.
So, how you doing?
Great.
But I think.
Good to be on. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. That's awesome. Hello, everybody. So I would say let's wait another 1 minute or so. Are you recording, Taryn? You do. You're smart. You're amazing. Unbelievable. Always on top of everything. Cool. So yeah, no, I'm happy to have that call today. Excited.
Oh, lots of people are excited for the call.
And I'm going to see you next week anyway, Taryn. I'm going to stay another 7 days in Dubai and then I fly to Bali.
Wow.
Where are you, Stephen, right now? You're in Wiesbaden or in Berlin or in the Netherlands?
No, I'm here working from home, which is actually in a lovely small well, city or town, actually you call it, below Amsterdam. It's called Leiden. And I live here in the city center, so very picturesque, you know, environment for a couple of days a week, and then 3 days in a week I'm either from Wiesbaden or Berlin.
So you haven't moved fully in yet to Germany, I guess.
No. It's not necessary, you know. We actually have a team, you know, all over the place, and we fly in, you know, some from Greece, you know, others from other parts, you know, of Europe. We meet each other those 3 days in a week, and besides that, we work mostly from home. But it's going to be more a home because you know, more restrictions kicking in here. You know, where I come from, it's a red area as well. And just this morning, you know, I came from a precaution corona test that I have to do every week before I fly into Germany. So it's kind of a nuisance, but it is what it is. Yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah, it's a little bit. Well, we all can get used to a home office. That's actually quite a nice thing for some people of us. For Healy, certainly it's a cool thing because we've been showing already over the past, Taryn, 9 months or so. Business is going amazing in Healy. I mean, this is absolutely something what people love. I mean, it's funny enough, to every crisis, network marketing is kind of the industry which is performing exceptionally well because people just have the freedom and the independence of, you know, make their own decision without being dependent on other circumstances, which is lovely. And then having a product which is able to, you know, help and support with fear, with mental balances, and also with your health and well-being. And besides that, doing in a business for a lot of people, creating something independent. It's wonderful. So yeah, I think we're ready to go into dive some questions. And now, since we are a lot of people already on the call, guys, if you have not so specific, but general questions about the business, about the vision, about where it's heading, about operational questions and so forth, just type them in the chat and we're trying to answer them as much as we can. So maybe just let me make an introduction to both of our speakers today on the call, or 3 of us. I'm just speaking ahead of everyone. So first of all, our wonderful Taryn Lee, you know, most of you guys know her. That's the lady from our 3 people here who is sitting in wonderful Bali right now. Australia, the Australian founder, actually, she was bringing Healy to Australia in November, I think, was it last year, November? And I remember
this time last year, because remember I flew over to Barcelona and all my Facebook memories are coming up of us all in Barcelona. So this time last year, went over and met everybody and was kind of like, this seems so incredible. So took it to Australia at the end of November. And I think we started selling our first chilies the end of November, the first week of December, and it exploded.
and I remember to this time, the company said like, okay, if you manage to distribute like 200 Healys into Australia, we're thinking about like getting serious on the market. And I think it didn't take a long time. It was 2,000 Healys and get out of your hand and the momentum just started and you couldn't stop it. No matter how much you tried, it was not possible to stop. And now I don't know how many thousands of Healy were distributed in Australia already, which is absolutely incredible. Wait, we need to unmute some people. Stefano. Taryn, you have to be on top of this. So yeah, that's Taryn Lee. And then we have an amazing person here on the call. You didn't mute Stefano yet. Stefano is still unmuted, Taryn. You unmute him, you mute him. Which is Steven van der Ven. And for everyone of you guys who got a flyer with his name, Steven van der Ven, That was my fault. That was autocorrect, and I sent it to Taryn, and Taryn didn't double check the name, and she just made that flyer without double checking the name. I just tested you. And then we had a wrong flyer coming out, but now the flyer was corrected. So his name is Steven van der Ven, and Steven van der Ven is the new COO, so the new Chief Operation Officer of Healy. And I had the pleasure of meeting you, Steven. There was, I think, 2-3 weeks ago, I can't even remember exactly. And I drove to Wiesbaden and we had an hour together. And before that, we met a few times on the call. And I went away with an absolute amazing feeling, because you are really somebody who's bringing an amazing amount of knowledge, experience in the industry, the right intentions, and maybe just tell us a little bit, why did a guy like you with this extensive background from the industry made the move to decide you want to take on all this craziness, what's happening now in this industry with a device which is changing the world, on your shoulders? So maybe thank you so much for being on the call, and maybe you can say something about that.
Yeah, thanks so much, Max. You know, and the experience in Wiesbaden was absolutely likewise. You know, I think we kind of found each other, you know, also in authenticity and a true desire, you know, to build such a beautiful, you know, legacy company behind Healy as well. Let me first apologize, you know, for the picture that we've used, because I could have had, you know, a broader smile on that picture like all of you other guys have it, but you know, I'm not so picture perfect, in the sense of, you know, whenever I smile on a picture, I get that smile, you know, of Arnold Schwarzenegger, which really, you know, doesn't look like. I wish I had the body I don't have, but the smile I do have. So I'll work on it, you know, you'll get a better picture next time. But yeah, you know, it's so my background is mostly at US multinationals, and it started off with the big ones, so Procter & Gamble and PepsiCo, more fast-moving consumer goods. And then I was triggered, you know, I was approached by this role at Herbalife Nutrition to become a country director for the Netherlands initially. And I grew my way up, you know, to becoming a regional vice president over there as well. And I have a passion for small business. I have a passion for entrepreneurship. It's just that I didn't find anything myself to start my own business with, and where I actually evolved in kind of a role of supporting entrepreneurs, which I'm very comfortable with, which I really like, you know. So I can, you know, be a co-entrepreneur, you might say, and an entrepreneur in connecting, you know, entrepreneurs like yourself, you know, with the company, with the corporate you know, team behind it. And you know, I've been at Herbalife Nutrition for 12 years, and that's where I started, you know, after that period, to support other companies in the direct selling industry to become successful. But here's the thing, you know, most of them try it out with similar products, so nutrition or either cosmetics, and I just didn't come across, you know, a company with such an exceptional product. And then, you know, and it's not even that long ago, you know, I think it was 3 months ago that I was approached by Healy, from there it went very fast. You know, I just wanted to understand, you know, what is this amazing product about? And I came across to a couple of good friends of ours who had Healy's, you know, quite coincidentally, during the holiday that I had here in the southwest of the Netherlands at the beach, and tried it, you know, did a whole analysis, tried it, was very enthusiastic about it, and then, you know, not even 3 weeks later, you know, I started off at the company in this operations role. And you know, the great thing about a very successful product is that, you know, it makes it so much easier. The other thing, you know, for corporate staff is whenever the growth comes, you know, you cannot anticipate that a company is just, you know, growing from 7 million last year to over 100 million this year. But it requires us, you know, to be so agile, versatile, and you know, quick in responding to that. And that's what we're doing now. And because we had to catch up on so many areas. You know, when you're talking about, you know, scoping up your business from 7 to 100 million, there are functions like customer services that you have to scope up 15 times as much as that. So that puts quite a lot of stress, on the organization itself. But I'm happy to share maybe a couple of things, that I'm that we're really making progress in, which I'm very proud of, that we've done so over the last 7 weeks that I've joined together with the team. Let me, by the way, also recognize that I'm not the only Dutch here, because I see quite a lot of Dutch names. So and by the way, also names throughout all over the world. So it's really great to see that you've got such a multinational team. Happy to meet you all at the next event. Hopefully that is not taking that long, in terms of a physical event as well. And as soon as I'm able to fly over again, to Asia, to the US, I'll do so, to also capture the moment, and get to know you personally. So having said that, maybe share you a couple of things. And then I'm happy to move, in any questions, which indeed are generic, because obviously I don't have my team with me here, and I can't answer any specific questions that you might have. But let's first start off, with customer services, because yes, we had a huge amount of backlog tickets. As I've indicated, volume grew 15 times over the last year. The number of tickets even exponentially, due to all kinds of other initiatives as well that are creating new tickets. So we are now happy to say that over the last couple of months we have closed down. We've diminished the number of backlog tickets to less than 1 month of backlog. And what we're catching up now is a couple of very tough tickets that we're dealing with. Certain tickets sometimes takes us in between 40 to 60 hours to deal with. And that is where you've got the backlog on that is over that 1 month. Those are the tough tickets, that we need other departments for, we need some development for, and so developments in other areas in order to address those tickets. And we will take that down as well, those tougher tickets, to within 1 month. What we have done to do that is that we've increased the number of staff in the US, the permanent staff, in Australia as well. So we've scoped up the team from 3 to 5 over there. We have a global supplier for temporary staff as well, CDS, that we've scoped up from 20 to 40 people throughout the world, that are supporting us in dealing with the tickets, especially the easier tickets. What we've done as well is, specifically for those from the Australian team, is that we are making sure that the Australian New Zealand customer service team is becoming less dependent on Singapore. So they have received more responsibilities over the last month. They have received a batch of wristbands, of cables that they can send immediately from Australia to all those customers and members in Australia and New Zealand. It's much quicker in such a way, and it's also cheaper for the company to do so. And we are further evolving, the responsibilities of the team over there, so it can become, an independent hub. The next step that we're taking also is see, can we have a logistics hub over there in Australia run by a third party? So also in terms of, supporting you with sales and making sure that customers can start up, they have their device as quickly as possible. This will definitely be a help. We're doing that throughout Asia. We're doing that throughout the US as well. We're also looking at opportunities to increase the number of hubs that we have in the US so we can get down the delivery days, because we have high standards coming from Amazon, high standards that we are measured against by customers and members in the US. So we have to keep up. I'm not saying that we can get on that same level as Amazon, because they have hubs throughout the whole of America, for example. And we are a small company, and we can't just fraction our inventory on through so many hubs, but we're doing our best, to scope up where that makes sense. So what we've also done, you might have heard that as well. I've shared it with some of you. We've got a new person in place in Singapore who has taken over from David Tanner. His name is Romulus, or also 𝗪𝗛 𝗪𝗛. He's a veteran in network marketing and operations, sales, and other executive roles. He now works from Malaysia, but will move into Singapore. He will have the full responsibility over customer services and over logistics and warehousing, to make sure that we make the necessary changes over in that area to support you guys the best we can. So this is a very proactive person. He's very service oriented. You will see whenever you meet him or interact with him, because I've had, very clear, complaints that it was not properly working, and I had to act on that. And more of those changes we will put in place in the future to make sure that the operations part of the company, especially, is running smoothly. So that is the first change. More changes will come into scoping up the team that I'll share with you later on. So let me see what else I have to share with you. Yes, also that, in addressing, the number of tickets that we have, we also need to make sure that certain tickets are prevented, from happening. That we can do, as you've seen, by making sure that we categorize tickets, as we've done, with members, but now also for customers. We categorize them, we subcategorize them. Then we put FAQs in place, so self-help, where you quickly get your answer to a certain question, and you don't have to wait for it a couple of weeks, or in the past maybe even months, but you're instantly helped. And we took away the emails, because, to be honest, we got in very long emails that we have to read through. We have to then categorize them. We have to assign them to staff. That is taking quite a lot of time. And that, we now can take away. And sometimes we get on the same complaint. We really received, up, and I think the worst example was 50 emails on the same subject from the same person, just to, the person wanted to make sure that he got prioritized. I can understand it, but in the whole process, it's not really helpful.
Let me tell you on this position, Stephen, and I think it's also important for all the leaders in the field to really communicate this. I mean, look, we've been growing so freaking fast, it's like really, it's like you said, Taryn had that experience in Australia, bringing in the Healy, and then suddenly it went out of the hands, right? People just love the product and share it, right? And the company never really expected this kind of growth as well. So you have to kind of start coping with that. And again, guys, it's everyone's business here. Like, we're working together on the same kind of thing. So what we trying to communicate as well into the field, and everybody should do that, is let's try to collect those tickets as well, and let's make a communication to our people, whoever market you are, and bring it out and say, like, please just send one ticket. The ticket will be read. The ticket will be acknowledged, and they will be worked on, right? So to avoid, now when you have somebody who sends 50 tickets, obviously it takes more time for all the tickets to be solved, because somebody needs to take care of the tickets. And that was actually very interesting, because I also met Murat, who's the head of support, when I met in the same day when I met you. And he explained, there is so many steps involved, from compliance and support. When we need to change something around, like an address or anything like that, it needs to be communicated to compliance. There are not these super fast steps in place, but they're coming into place. So for us, it's very important to be very, very patient with those things as well, and, support the company on our side as much as we can as well, right? And now we have you, Stephen, and again, I know everybody is super grateful we have you with all this knowledge and experience, and we can already see the progress. In fact, I had a call 3 days ago from a guy from Italy, super excited, and said, like, Max, I can't believe it. I ordered my Healy last Wednesday, or like one of my members, and I received it on Friday. And it's like, wow. And actually, we can see those things. So don't believe there is nobody working behind the scenes. Everybody's working very, very hard. I have seen it with my own eyes. I have talked to the guys. And for us, it's like, we got to work together on this one, especially this ticket issue. We're going to work together on getting this one solved for all of us, because it's not, it doesn't help anybody if we send 50 tickets. Sorry for interrupting.
No, thank you very much, for this, because yes, let's work as a team. That's a very important message, to all of us. I'm here to support you together with the team as best as I can, and I'm here, at the one hand, not only to address, what needs to be addressed now, but also to make sure that it prevents from happening in the future. So what we will do, is that we will project growth in terms of, not only in terms of number of devices, and our production and logistics, but also in terms of, okay, how many tickets can we expect, coming from growth, and how do we have to team up, our team? So that's where we actually work now with 3 scenarios for next year, which is a realistic scenario. So you might call it conservative as well, which is a stretch scenario. If you look at the last couple of months, that would be a stretch scenario if you extrapolate that to the future, and then a very aspirational scenario that we are projecting against, and we're building a company structure behind that, just to make sure that we are well prepared, for whatever scenario might come up. So one of those things also is a global supply chain. So what we've did over there, also, when I came in, I saw that production and logistics was kind of separated from each other, which was a strange thing. Logistics, which was under my team, got the product and then distributed it. But here, we chose for an end-to-end solution where we say, okay, let's make sure that everything is so, from customer demand, up until production, is so well connected to each other. Whenever we are putting in place, promotions, we start planning those now 2 or 3 months, ahead. So we know what kind of raw materials we need to have from suppliers. We ramp up production, as we've done so over the last couple of months, from 500 to 1,000 a day to 2,000 a day now and beyond that. We ramp up production, and we make sure that we fill the pipeline, which is, at 𝗪𝗏, a European distribution center, all our logistical hubs. So whenever you order, or your customers order, a Healy, at the same time that order will be sent out from our hubs. Because for me, a back order is also an order that has been ordered yesterday, but has not been sent out at that day, but sent out, for example, today. Even if it's just one day, that is what we want to prevent. And then also we want to fill the pipeline, so fill the hubs. Whenever, just before promotions kick in, just before we're opening up new countries, it's very helpful, if you have any new activity coming up of which you think in those countries, I expect, hundreds or thousands or maybe even tens of thousands of devices, in the next couple of months, to be sold at, let us know, because if we can anticipate that, we should be able to deliver to you. Because here's the thing, next year we're looking at a production, if all goes well, of 480,000 devices on a yearly basis. You can do the calculations. If that sells, on an average at 1,500 euros each, we're talking about a company that goes towards 750 million. So we should be able, to produce it. So there's no limitation in that area for you to continue business and to capitalize on any opportunity that you see. Yes, we've cleared out the whole backlog situation in Europe, in USA. We've also sent out, all the backlog on fast starts. We're clearing that situation out this month as well, in Asia. It has to do with the lead times that are a little bit longer, in Asia as well. And like I said, the limited capacity that we have from our hubs for order fulfillment, that's what we're going to change, by the way, as well, drastically. We're going to have more capacity. So that should not be a bottleneck, because currently it is.
Quickly, sorry, Stephen, let's go quickly before we move on into the Singaporean hub. I mean, now we know the backlog for Europe. Obviously, Europe is now the role model, kind of. We have Healys going out very, very fast. And once again, I love what you're saying. You said when you have the order in today and it's still not out tomorrow, it's a backlog. you know,
Yeah.
and this attitude alone is very, very healthy for a smooth functioning business. So it's beautiful. Now Europe obviously takes the lead. America is doing a great job because you outsourcing a lot of activities to the people there as well. Now, what is the issue and why people still waiting in Singapore, and what do you think on timeline, especially shipping devices to Australia and all these markets, they will be supplied from Singapore? Well, how do you see this happening now in the next couple of weeks or months? What do you see on timeline and the backlog there?
Yeah, it's so you know, it's not that we chose for Europe to be in the lead, but obviously we are producing in Germany, and then, you know, just within a week, you know, it's sent to G-Log and distributed throughout Europe. So the lead times are shorter over there. But this should not be an issue anymore in the future whenever we fill the whole logistical pipeline, you know, throughout the world. So not for Asia. Now we're running behind, you know, with Asia, because it takes us, you know, 2 weeks or longer to send our product, you know, from G-Log Europe, you know, to our hub in Singapore. And the reason is also now in COVID time, we've got a limited amount of flights, of freights, you know, via plane, you know, to be able to send out. So that is a limitation now as well. And obviously in the future, I don't want to be, you know, dependent on those anymore. This month, so the month of November, we are projecting that every order should be sent out. There may be some further catch up, you know, on fast starts as well as of early December, but the situation should be completely cleared out in December. We're putting a lot of pressure behind it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Sorry, Taryn, you want to say something because you haven't said anything, and it's very strange for you.
Because you always say everything, Max. Actually, you know, the thing that I would really love to know, I know we've got a lot of like questions that are coming in, and we can go through those and answer them. But, you know, I love to know people's vision. And one of the reasons Max and I work so well together is because we have this same ultimate long-term vision for where we want to help bring Healy to. And so from an operational and a customer service perspective, what is your vision for Healy and, you know, and this incredible product? I mean, we are a high ticket product. What is the vision that you have to bring Healy into the future and to help us build us into $1 billion company?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So it coincides with my passion. I've got a passion for technology. Although I'm not, you know, a technological guy, but I've got a passion for technology, so that technology should work, you know, without any breakdown. So that is the thing, you know, that we're working on. And, you know, now to make the quick switch and then go back, you know, again to the vision, that is where we need to analyze the root causes of some of those tickets. So where does it come from, you know, and really get into the devices. So that's also why it's important for you guys, you know, whenever you've got a broken down device, make sure that it's sent back, you know, ASAP, because we're setting up now a very, you know, lean process to send those devices back to Germany and have to completely analyze. We want to make sure, you know, that from a hardware point of view, everything runs smoothly. Also, you know, from an app point of view as well, and the connectivity in between those two. So I've got a passion for technology. I've got a passion for quality, and I do not compromise on quality. So also in that area, and you know, and we have had discussions, you know, in C-level this week as well. You know, I can't yet, you know, share the details about it, but you can expect, you know, significant improvements in that as well. And I've got a passion, you know, for customer services. So when we are able to close down the backlog tickets, when we've got a solid plan, you know, to scope up, and we are able to say, okay, guys, you know, it makes sense that for certain issues, we get in contact directly with customers. That is what we will do so. And we need to find ourselves a more structural way in dealing with tech support as well, where we also need to define, okay, where could the member be of help, where could the leader be of help, and what needs to be the responsibility of the company as well. That is what we need to define, because you guys can sometimes, you know, with your experience and with the contact that you have with your customer, which is just a short line, you know, be so much more quicker than we as a company can be. So let's define, you know, how we can team up in the best way to ensure optimal customer support.
That's
So
what
these are a couple of areas, that I have a passion with, and from that, is my vision, how to scope up services within the company.
That's what I've really loved so far with all of our interactions with you, is that you really want to get feedback from the field and you really want to work with us to build this. So it just feels really good to have you in this seat. And we've already seen some, changes that have been going on. And so, yeah, it's, you're a breath of fresh air for us to be able to deliver on what we know we should be delivering. So yeah, thank you for coming to us.
And
yeah,
Stephen,
thank you. Sorry, please, Max.
No, I'm sorry. You wanted to say thank you, Taryn. I interrupted. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's I need to say it's in my DNA, and that's where also my experience, within direct selling kicks in. I simply can't live with a bad feeling that I've not done my utmost, to support members, to support customers in the best way I can, because that is the essence, to be honest, of direct selling. That is where we all, should make a difference towards the customer in improving that experience, in the best possible way that we can. And I'm here's the thing: I'm committed to deliver as well. It might not always be within your expectation in terms of timing, or in terms of what we can do. Sometimes I have to, phase in. I say, okay, this is realistic to reach at that stage, and this is taking, much more time, in order to reach that vision, eventually. But it's as long as we're on the track, and as long as we keep on communicating, on what is realistic for us to achieve, and we explain, why we can't achieve the rest, that is. That really requires an open communication in between the two of us, and that is what I will support in, the best way I can.
I say to our, sorry, Max, I'm going to do all the talking now. I often say to some of our team members when they will talk about, why can't changes happen so quickly? And it's because, we've ramped up from, like, as you said, this $7 million company to a $100 million company so quickly. It's like we built this massive ship so quickly, and now just turning it around to get back on track. I know you can't give us any kind of real concrete sort of timelines, but at what point do you feel like this company will be, that ship has turned around and be sailing more smoothly?
Yeah, it depends on the areas. What I always go for is quick wins. Like I've shared them with you on customer services, the way we get organized, the way we address, the current issues, and then on global supply chain as well. So product delivery. And by the way, also on country openings and business developments and building a regional team. So there are areas that are really much more complex, and it has to do with our product, because we've got a beautiful product, but it is complex. And whenever we see with those root cause analysis that I've just shared more about, that we have to address certain issues in there, more structurally, that takes time. Because you also need to get through test phases, etc. In certain countries, you even need to go back to the local authorities, and having certain registration being updated as well concerning your product. So that takes time. What also takes time is that we've chosen for a certain system internally. As well, and yes, we're working on other systems in which the back office that you're talking about, and all kinds of other processes are all part of. But a system, if you could say, it's like a Christmas tree. You just choose a beautiful Christmas tree, in the forest. You put it on there, you decorate it, everything on it, and it seems perfect. But then eventually, it doesn't seem to work. You need to find yourself the next best Christmas tree. Need to start, building that. Need to make sure that it's well decorated, and then migrate, from the one to the other. that takes time because you can't cut down the first Christmas tree. You simply can't do that. It's so there you do a lot of things in parallel because you need to make sure that the business continues, that you're not, stopping business for a while, because you're migrating, to another system, and that is quite complex. What we've seen also in choosing another system, that the migration of data, the communication in between the two systems is sometimes an issue because they've got different suppliers, and they do about everything, to make sure that it's not easy to transition from one to the other, like, transitioning from Android, to iOS, is difficult as well, and the communication in between those two systems. So that is taking longer. And by the way, also in product development, we're working on a couple of, and I'm involved in a couple of projects also for product development. That takes a couple of years. Not so much, maybe for apps and for other programs, but the way we would like, product development to go, and making sure that we give you kind of a whole program of innovations for the next couple of years. That takes a while as well, but we also working very hard on that. You can be sure of it. So hopefully that answers your question, or is it, if it's unclear, please let me know.
It's clear. I'm just waiting for Taryn to say something. If she doesn't say anything, I say something.
You can speak now, Max. Go ahead.
Okay, good. So regarding what do you see is the progress regarding the back office? Like, do you see what maybe you can get a little specific on this one?
Yeah, that's a very good one, and that's the, call it, the Christmas tree stories that I just said, and I just had a chat with 𝗪𝗪𝗔𝗬 𝗓𝗪, so our chief technological officer last week, in which I said, I understand that this is a very complex process, but let's find out, whether we can work in phases, work in different phases, and are there a couple of quick wins also, based on requests that you have, some quick wins that we can already start delivering, in the next couple of weeks and months. So I committed to him that I would send him a list. And he committed to me to say, okay, let me find out together with my team what the quick wins might be, and then we will work on those. But yes, we have a plan for the back office as well, but I think it's not up to me now, to share any timelines. When I've discussed this proposal from me, with Dirk, and he can come back, to certain with certain timings on where, the low-hanging fruit or the quick wins, that we might have, that then I could start sharing that with you as well. So at least it gives you a feel that certain things are moving also, on that area.
All right. Just another question, because I see some people, obviously everybody's from a different country here. They're wondering, like, how will it be with country setup? Like, I just want to maybe understand the strategy of the company. And now we have a European hub, a Singapore hub for Southeast Asia, and eventually Australia. And then we have the USA app, right? So how is it when we have developing countries coming up, like Malaysia, for example, comes up very strongly, or Japan for sure? Like, is the strategy of the company to just supply it from one continent as a hub, or will you go and have hubs in several countries later on? How would be the strategy there?
Well, we also here, we start off with what are your, as leaders, what are your needs? Where do you, which countries would you have networks or friends, that can help us out, with the business over there? And sometimes it's even smaller countries that we open up first, because also there, they're quick wins. They might be easier, to open in other markets. And then we're going into the bigger markets, because we simply, in terms of, growth, we have to be represented in those countries, like, for example, Korea. So what, this is an evolution as well. So first we start off in these countries, we see, how do they evolve? How complex are these markets? We now have a very clear list, and it just came off a call, where we discussed this in C-level, because we were all over the place in terms of country openings and proper formalization of countries. Certain countries we still have that we are doing business in, but we still need to do some work, to properly formalize those. We've got that all listed now, what needs to be done. Within the next 3 to 8 months, we're clearing out that situation in all the current Asian markets that we have. But I can tell you one thing, no business, please, no business in China. And it takes us, whenever you are starting up the process in China, you need to have a clean sheet of 3 years. You need to have a clean sheet of 5 years, and you need to be a global company for the last 3 years. So we are not yet in that stage. Whenever something, happens in that country, it takes us back, whenever we are not able to show such a clean sheet in China, that means that we can only start, the application again in about 5 years from now. So there's huge risk in a country like China. And I would say, if we have not communicated the opening of the country, don't go there. Don't start up business. You can make people enthusiastic about the product. That's fine. You can warm them up maybe. But, and let's not have them registered in one country, then think that they can migrate, back into that closed country, because that is not feasible anymore. You can't change your address yourself anyhow, because we've got a lot of opportunistic, behavior, also concerning promotions that we had, in certain countries, and back and forth, a change of address that doesn't work. But here's the thing. So I'm initially for Asia, I think that we need to cluster certain countries, have a regional manager on there, but making sure that we always have customer services dedicated to one country. So in terms of language, it's important to have. And then depending on the number of the business, the number of tickets coming in, we need to make sure that we ramp up the number of heads, in customer service accordingly. The same with warehousing, and logistics. Whenever we hit a certain threshold, volume, that's where a warehouse should be opened in that country. And with certain country openings, for example, in Korea, it's even mandatory to do so. So also, it's a hybrid model in terms of volume, but also in terms of local requirements that we would have to build a corporate structure behind. So what I've done now with operations, so customer services and warehousing, is put it under one person. So that's Romy. He reports directly into me. Then you've got a GM, for Asia Pacific, with GMs under that. That is something that we would have to decide on how to get properly organized, for the future, because we also need to be careful that we don't put in too many heads now, whilst we need to have workforce. The work needs to be done. Tickets need to be dealt with. Order fulfillment need to be dealt with, all kinds of other matters, So I'd much rather say, let's start off with a kind of, call it a small head of the company, and then a big body, and then, we can kind of work on that model as soon as we evolve the business over there in those countries.
Taryn, go for it.
Yeah, look, I mean, I just love actually that we're getting all of these incredible comments of people just feeling so much more confident listening to you, and you're not making a whole lot of promises out there, but you're obviously making a lot of sense, and yeah, it is a lot to move and shift, from where we are to where we can be. I guess, yeah, I mean, you've answered a lot of the things anyway that we're kind of, we're interested in. I mean, the back office, everyone's eager, what's happening with the back office, but we understand you can't just like rip out one and put in another. It's sort of a process to do that. And a lot of the countries, I know we have a lot of people very interested in India, so I can see all the Indians up there being like, India, what's happening there?
Maybe say something to India.
Sorry?
maybe Stephen, you need to say something to India.
Yeah,
I see
say something around India.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, definitely, and here's the thing, the current model for logistics that we have over there, in which, also the web shop is connected as well. So in India, we've got the situation that we can only open up the web shop when we have the product in India itself. So not even in transit, no, it needs to be in India itself. And from that inventory, you can sell to the customer. And we had too many hiccups at customs with papers, that, there was a comma missing here and a point missing there. And, that is where I'm saying, okay, we need to come up, with an end-to-end solution for that as well, where everything, is taken care of by a third party. So it's business as usual, and it is not holding back those leaders, those members, that want to build business over there. That is, I'm from origin, I'm a commercial guy as well. So sales and operations. And when I see that happening, it's it makes me very sad that they have to close down, a web shop. That is just, it's the last option. But I was confronted, by this legal requirement over there as well. And obviously it really, motivates me to find a structural solution for you guys over there. And also in terms of customer services, because I know we've got a backlog now of 260 tickets that we need to deal with. Certain countries I've got very clear in my mind how many tickets we have, and India is one of those. It's just an indication to you as how much I've got India on top of my mind.
Where was the guy from who sent 50 tickets?
Not from India, no worries.
I think I can speak from all of us. It's so refreshing to have you. I mean, it's beautiful because we have, like, let's face it. I mean, we say it all over and over again. We have the most amazing world and life-changing product in the world. And we have the most amazing members and leaders, in my opinion, in our opinion as well. And now we finally have also the most amazing corporate. So things are going and heading in the right direction. I remember you told me an amazing example, and I was actually reading up about it after you told me about it. I think it was you told me about the iPhone. When iPhone 1 came out, like now we see, and everybody runs to the shop and gets the iPhone 12 Pro Plus, whatever. It's an amazing, perfect functioning device. But guess what? When the iPhone came out, it was a shit show. It was delivery drama, technological drama. The apps didn't work. Things didn't work completely. It was out of control, and there was drama all over the place. And eventually it developed and it evolved, and it became the most perfect product in the world. So now we have the decision, right? Do we invest, or let's think back 13 years before. Would we invest in a company like iPhone, which is becoming $1 trillion company by now? Knowing what we know today, of course we would, right? So those people who persisted and were persevere in that time and stayed with the company, obviously they got rewarded a lot. And I think we're going to similar thing. I'm not saying say we compare ourselves with becoming $1 trillion company. I saw one comment in there. Somebody said we become $1 trillion company. I like the ambitious thinking. I think it's beautiful, but I'm just, we can see parallels with a company bringing out an amazing, really industry disrupting product, unicorn product, changing everything, and the technological challenges we have. And it happened to every company that came into the market and had an amazing changing or world changing device. And the same thing happened for iPhone, right? And we got to persevere. And it's a beautiful thing. Now let's say we are at this stage from the iPhone 1 now, and we came through the first couple of challenges and hurdles and road bumps, and we did our learnings, and we still do way more learnings. And then we pivot again when we have a learning, right? This is what we don't wish for less learnings. We wish for more skills to accomplish the next challenge, right? And we only get and gain those skills if we overcome those previous learnings. And so learnings are great for us. Challenges are amazing. India is great if we have those challenges because we become better and have smooth operations eventually in every market. But we have to have the time to go through, and we have to have the team and the operations to take care of this, right? And for me, like I said it in the beginning, like when I met you, I shared it to as many people as possible, my feelings, like hand in the fire. And I really, you make me feel so comfortable. You were really this missing piece, what I felt in the operation, what was so needed for the company. And I believe, guys, and you can put it in the comments if you want, if you would agree with that or not, because I think we really have a great change now in the company and things are happening. And it's okay to, not be perfect yet. And the goal is not being perfect. The goal is progress, right? So this is where we're going as well. So again, guys, we have the most amazing product in the world, life-changing as nothing else. And we have now a really amazing corporate team. And you are not the only one, right? I mean, I met Tasso, I met all these people. Maybe you can say a few things to the other people who joined you and will join you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the opportunity. I was just getting into that, we have a C-level and a level below, which we call, so C-levels are the end responsibles, in a certain area, and the heads, are responsible for either, a region or a part, within that overall responsibility. So what we have in the team now is Tasso. He's the new Chief Legal Officer. And the guy is amazing, has huge experience, in Amway. And what he's done is putting in place, a whole structure of global, of all kinds of very experienced global law firms that help us out with the registration in the company, with the product registration, the MLM registration, the entity, the legal entity that we need to have over there. And he's building a team around that as well. As well, he's building a team, around compliance, because we just need to make sure that we guys help you out, in terms of education, what you can do, what you can't do, and I'm saying, education, because I don't believe in sanctions. That's just the last resort. But 𝗪𝗘𝗧, who's come over there also with a lot of experience in the area of compliance, is really amazing in the way that he interacts with leaders, explains, certain areas. He's really into education on the area of compliance. So brilliant team over in that area. Then we've got Torsten, who's the new Chief Financial Officer. Huge experience also on that area. We're clearing out, very important processes, working, with global accountant firms. So we solidify the financials behind our company. We have a very, here's the thing, I've never been in such a financially comfortable situation in a company like now, because we've got a very strong investor like Christian behind us, who's like all of us, very much believing in the product and the way that we're moving forward. But whatever, funds we're generating, obviously we need to have that well managed to make sure that we solidify our financial foundation and we invest in the right areas. And Torsten is the guy who is able to do that. And then you've got 𝗪𝗪𝗔𝗬 𝗪𝗪, a brilliant guy in terms of as a chief technological officer, in terms of managing, the complexity that we have, this huge complexity now already, behind our systems. I've also been able in the castle in Krensling, not only to meet Marcus, our founder, which I find very inspiring to talk to, but also Martin 𝗪𝗏𝗏, who's the Chief Product Officer. I've got my intelligence maybe in other areas, but I need to be careful that I don't feel stupid, whenever I talk to those guys, because they are so smart. They are, they're brilliant. And it could only have been those two guys, to come up with such a product. And let's be honest, here also we just talked about technological companies like Apple. Here's the thing, Apple has got a lot of competitors. So they break down, devices as well. They look at what competitors are doing. We don't have that. So whatever we come up with, it needs to be from the brilliance of the minds of these people and the creativeness, also of their team, to come up with innovations in our area as well. This technology is just there, for the last 7 years. As a company, we only stand here, 2 years, and we go through the phases, as a normal company would do, so much more quicker. You know, we're talking about phases, you know, and in these 2 years, you know, if you compare that to other businesses and also the business of what they call, you know, fast moving consumer goods that I came out of. So products that you use at home, you know, many of those companies are over 100 years old, or over 50 years old. You know, it took them, you know, decades, you know, to reach the level, you know, that we are already on with our team. So to go through the others, so we've got Kevin just started as a Chief Marketing Officer, doing a lot in that area as well. Chief Sales Officer, Frank, as you well know, this is such a passionate guy, you know, and he's so emotionally involved also, and you know, we had very good debates in our C-level last week as well, in which he takes the lead, you know, to get the best for you guys. And then it's headed by Andreas Kornberger, who I find so constructive and inspirational to work with. And you know, everybody is
hiring you, so he obviously did something amazing. You know, obviously they're doing
so here's the thing: he hired most of the team, you know, in here, and you can expect a lot of changes in that. So that is the mastermind, you know, of the corporate team. But also from a personal point of view, I very much like him. You know, we are on one frequency, you might call it, to make sure that we service you guys in the best possible way that we can. So this is really a very strong team that you can expect more of in the next couple of weeks and months to come.
Awesome. And you have plans, obviously, to hire more people. That's also for the headquarters in Germany, or just in the hubs?
Yeah, so with those 3 scenarios that are just laid out, you know, we also connecting a number of heads, you know, and growing the organization, you know, to make sure that we are able to service, you know, the growth. And it's actually, you know, you decide, you know, whenever we've got things in place more structurally, then it's up to you to decide, you know, how fast we grow.
Well, right now we grew extremely fast, but I tell you the truth, most of us have both handbrakes pulled on as of now. So it's in everybody's interest that we can ramp up production, ramp up delivery, shorten the channels, shorten the steps, so we can release the handbrakes and then just fully throttle through. But I like the 3 models you had, the 3, you know, conservative, normal, and ambitious. And I would say we should definitely focus on the ambitious one, because this is what will happen.
Great. I'm all in there.
We know. I know we've got all these people in our beautiful community that all just want to see Healy get into the hands of so many people around the world. They're driven by this desire to really make a massive, massive, massive impact. And so it's so beautiful to be able to have people now to support us in all of our dreams and goals that we all have, all collectively around here. And I know every single one of us that's on here, we're all leaders, and our job as leaders is to hold the vision and to have the courage to hold the vision, even when things are a little bit rocky. But I feel like you know, we are 3 feet before oil. Like, we are so close to just getting to that point where it's going to just feel so, so beautiful, more beautiful than it already does, but beautiful to share Healy around the world. And gosh, thank you so much, Stefan, for
thank you.
For coming and talking to us and being so open with us, and wanting to hear from the field and wanting to get feedback from the field, and yeah, wanting to be part of this family.
So what I would say now we're doing, Taryn, you can unmute everybody. Thank you so much. And everybody can say thank you to Stephen. And we finished this call because it's been an hour. Thank you so much for being here, Stephen. That's really helpful. We're going to share the recording of the call on Evolve, the new way of being Facebook group. We will probably put it on YouTube as well, if you're okay with that, Stephen.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say, you know, whenever there are, you know, those specific, those generic questions, you know, that we just talked about, if you could kind of capture them and let me work on that. And then maybe for the next call, you know, I can give kind of an update, you know, on that as well. Okay.
All right. Everybody's unmuted, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Stephen.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All the best. Thank you so much for the
Thank
opportunity.
you so much.
Arigato. Hey, cool. We have Japanese here too.
La traduction.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Album, c'est ça.
Sayonara.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Many,
Bye.
many thank yous.
Thank
Thank you.
J'avais fait pour Evolve, non, je crois.